Welcome to episode 3 of Beyond the Walls, the series where I cover the current hot topics on Embark Studios games, the finals and the in-development arc raiders, their communities, and things like Easter egg discoveries. This episode is going to be a bit shorter than the previous two simply because it's vacation time in Sweden right now, and a lot of the Embark Studios developers are away from the studio, so this week's update was a store refresh only. Nevertheless, there are still a couple of things I want to talk about, and one of them is a new Easter egg that's been found on the Kyoto map. Firstly though, in the last couple of episodes of Beyond the Walls, I've talked about the future of the finals in various ways, from how often Embark make updates to the game, to player numbers, changes to cash out, and what sort of casual mode might lead the finals into the future. In this episode, I want to talk about a subject that relates to the future of the finals from an even wider view. In the last few weeks, a lot of us content creators that make videos about the finals have produced a lot of videos focusing on the game's future. Content creator Apo discussed some content creators moving on from the game to make videos about other games, and Thixie has just made a video about how aspects of the game could be improved to showcase the game for spectators of competition matches. I've linked both of those videos in the description below, and I encourage you to check them out because they're great videos. Like Apo and Thixie, I've covered similar subjects, like those I mentioned earlier, and you'll find plenty of other content creators creating videos with similar themes. So there's a lot of chatter going on right now about the future of the finals, but importantly, the one outlet we haven't had much info about the future of the game from is Embark Studios, and there's a reason for that, but it's not one that I entirely agree with. Way back in mid to late February, community member Sheet wrote, "The one thing I wish the dev team for the finals would change is the communication. Last Epoch launched yesterday and they already gave us more infos about what's going on than this game since it released." Embark Studios community lead Oscar Lundberg replied to this comment saying, "That's fair. We do stay on the side of under-promise and over-deliver rather than the opposite. We know that maintaining a live game that's operational and functions is hard, and that will be our priority. It does mean that flashy new features might sometimes need to take the back seat in favour for a safe, stable game environment. This is part of why we don't want to publish a massive roadmap, because those will always be impacted and always in a negative way. Season 2 is coming, it will be incredible, and it will give you all an idea of what you can expect for each new season." This approach of the finals moving forward without a formal roadmap from Embark Studios actually stems back to an earlier comment the finals creative director Gustav Tillerby reportedly made to outlet Axios back around the time of the game's launch, where he said, "We better hold off with that sort of stuff and make promises we can keep." While I understand Embark's intention to under-promise and over-deliver, I think simply having no real roadmap doesn't actually achieve this. In fact, I think it can do the opposite. Think of it this way. I think marketing, PR, and community relations for any game between them only have 3 core purposes. 1, make people aware that your game exists in the first place. 2, set expectations for what the game is going to be like now and into the future. And 3, manage those expectations as you move along, whether you're meeting the expectations you set or not. Let me give you a somewhat exaggerated, fictitious example to show you why I think that expectation setting is more important than making sure you meet every expectation. In August 2024, Rockhound Black Studios announced they are launching a new game with this announcement. Rockhound Black Studios is pleased to announce that we will be launching a new shooter game called Vegetable Wars. No additional information is provided, but a couple of 100,000 shooter game fans follow the studio on the socials, and after months of community chatter about what's going on and wondering when they might see something, in mid-2025, without warning, Vegetable Wars is released. It's a survival shooter where you roam the countryside scavenging for vegetables, some of which you choose to freeze solid so you can carry them around and throw or shoot them at your enemies and the game's AI zombies. Did that meet your expectations? Compare that to this. Rockhound Black Studios is pleased to announce that we will be launching a new game called Vegetable Wars. It's a PvP third-person shooter where you play the role of a battle-hardened vegetable of your choice and roam around maps that are designed like large market gardens. You fight in bunches of 5, laying waste to enemy potatoes, parsnips, and Brussels sprouts. The game is set for a launch in mid-2025. In April 2025, Rockhound Black Studios announced that the game is being delayed until the end of 2025 so that they can add turnips and cabbages to the game alongside an additional carrot juice extraction mode. At the end of 2025, the game launches. Now, despite the failure to meet the advertised mid-2025 launch, I think that the second example will have much better outcomes because the community following the game has had their expectations set about specifically what the game will be, and so missing the initial launch date only breaks one of many expectations set. The expectations set for those that love the idea of playing a crazy cucumber with an AKM are still being met, just at a different time. The community's expectations were set about what the type of game Vegetable Wars will be, what it will include, and that makes it way easier to manage the community when the delay occurs for additions to the game. Now, these examples might be an exaggeration, but the point is that in the first example, the community would have set their own expectations in their mind. Some would think it's a normal FPS where factions fight over control of vegetable crops. Some might think it's like the second game with vegetables fighting one another. The point is that people are going to imagine in their head what they should be expecting if no expectation is provided for them. Not making promises isn't a way to stop people from having expectations. It just allows them to set their own, some of which will align with your vision, but a lot won't. So it's really hard for us to tell if Embark Studios are currently under or over delivering because they've never really set the bar for what that might look like at the start. So you kind of end up with this random mix of people in the community, some of whom are always pretty satisfied with how it's all progressing, and then there are those that just think Embark are under delivering all the time, which I personally don't consider to be true, but we don't have a benchmark to compare that to. I think for the finals right now, the lack of a roadmap makes it quite hard for the game's community or people considering the game to have a clear understanding about its future. Instead, we end up with the situation where the general community and content creators alike are all voicing their opinions on what the game should look like in the future, because what we're really saying is, I have no expectations, so please make the game like this or that, so I can then set my expectations around that and feel like I have some certainty about the game. Sure, we know at the start of each season that there'll now be a new map and some weapons and gadgets and specializations, and then throughout the season there will be alternating small and larger updates, but we don't really know anything beyond that. There's not enough info being provided for us to have things to look forward to, regardless of whether Embark deliver those things when they said they will or not. Now, I actually think it wouldn't take much difference in communication from Embark to change this view of the road ahead for the game, but I do think they need to reconsider having no real roadmap at all. And it could be as simple as them telling us which events and limited time modes are coming up within the season we're in, and a loose outline of the next couple of seasons. I don't think we need firm dates or anything like that, but I do think giving the community more to look forward to and talk about before it happens would produce more of a sense of optimism about the game than we're currently seeing for a game that I think we really should be very optimistic about. It will focus the community on discussing what's going to happen rather than what each of them thinks should happen. Let me know in the comments below what sort of roadmap you think Embark should provide us, if any. Maybe you disagree with me. If so, let us know why. Okay, let's move on to Easter eggs. A new discovery has been made on the Kyoto map, and it comes with a pretty lovely story. Easter egg hunter Big Oil found this little red and black drawing of a bird behind a piece of bamboo on the hilly northeast side of the map. The bird, as it turns out, is a New Zealand fantail, or also known by its New Zealand Māori name, Pi Waka Waka, and it was drawn and placed there by Embark Studios level designer Midas Delat, who wrote in the Discord that it is indeed a fantail. We got engaged in NZ during the development of Kyoto, and we fell in love with that little bird during our travels. So firstly, congratulations to Midas on their engagement. Midas and I actually chatted a bit when they arrived in New Zealand, and I was able to give them a few pointers about places to visit, restaurants to check out, awesome hikes to do, that kind of thing. Although they didn't visit the part of New Zealand where I live, so we didn't get the chance to meet up in person. But it's cool to read that they had an amazing time here. Anyhow, a second fantail was found by hunter Joshna before that comment from Midas, and it's located inside the bell tower above a beam at about the same height as the bell. You can view it from outside the bell tower, but you'd get a better view if you're able to jump up on top of the bell. Midas also said, "Nice. Had such a laugh at the early videos of Kyoto zooming in on the bell and the bird casually hiding in the top right corner. You do know it is illegal to only count towards 2 in the game dev world unless you are Valve. 3 is where it's at. So we now know that there is a third fantail somewhere on the Kyoto map waiting to be found. Interestingly, Midas had actually given us a hint back in June about the bird's existence when they wrote, "Well, that's insane. Bamboo forest looking awfully empty though," about an interactive Kyoto map that Hunters Arcade and Ludenote have made to map out all the Easter egg and interesting object locations. I've placed a link to that map in the video description too. Midas added then, "I have been checking this channel every day since Kyoto came out," and also noted that it's a Type 6 Easter egg, but an Easter egg for you to find regardless, and added an emoji of a black bird to provide a clue. So what's a Type 6 Easter egg, you ask? Well, back in early June, Embark Studios co-founder, chief content officer, and executive producer for the finals, Rob Runison, gave us a list of all the Easter egg types in the game. I've gone through these previously, so I won't repeat them, but you can pause the video here if you want to read them. So keep an eye out on the Kyoto map for that remaining fantail, and if you spot it, be sure to post it in the Easter egg channel of the Discord so you can have your name recorded amongst the growing list of community members that have made discoveries. Thanks for watching this episode of Beyond the Walls to the end. Do the usual YouTube business if you want to see more videos from me from now on. Give a like or comment as you see fit, and enjoy the rest of your day. Kia kaha, stay strong.
Everybody knows the world ain't right. Down on your knees, get up